After losing my memory, I forgot I used to be the evil supporting character. I sent out mass apology messages to my friends. Sorry, I lost my memory. Can I ask, who are you again? Immediately, my phone buzzed like crazy. I received 3 replies: the cold childhood friend I used to bully, another trick to torment me, I left food downstairs, go get it. The loyal adoptive brother I used to make things hard for still mad at me. I just transferred your allowance. I'll stay with you tonight. The badass female lead I used to mess with starting another act. If you lost your memory, go sleep. I already signed your attendance for today. Wait, don't tell me I was the evil supporting character, but somehow I'm living a plot where the whole group pampers me. In the hospital room, doctors and nurses walked back and forth. The air reeked of disinfectant. I struggled to sit up, my head spinning in circles. Not far from me, a doctor was speaking with a middle-aged man. How is she now? Miss Tam's condition isn't too serious, just partial memory loss of specific individuals. I froze. Memory loss. How could I have memory loss? I still remembered everything just fine. I couldn't help but interject. I remember my name is Tam Fu. My dad is Tam Hop Shuyen. My mum is Tong Han. The middle-aged man turned to me, his voice gentle. Then, do you remember who I am? I nodded immediately. Of course, you're our family's butler, Uncle Loy. The man went silent for a long moment. His gaze was complex. Miss, I'm your family's driver, and my surname is Liu, not Li, me. He sighed and turned back to the doctor. Doctor, please pay more attention to her case. I'll call her guardian. From that short exchange, I found out I had fallen down the library stairs, lost consciousness, and was brought to the hospital by a classmate. After they left the room, I was stunned, like waking up from a dream. I rushed to grab my phone. Looking at the pinned contacts, if not for my parents' names, I would have thought I'd picked up someone else's phone. Just then, someone nicknamed Ice Monster sent 2 messages. Come get your food within 30 minutes. I'm too lazy to ask anyone to bring it up. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't remember who this guy was. So I texted back, you bought food for me. The reply came instantly, each word laced with thorns. Feeding the great heiress is part of my duty. But next time, if you want food that's not from the cafeteria, let me know in advance. I waited half an hour in line and it delayed your meal. He's kind of polite, actually, but now's not the time to eat. I quickly replied, no need, I'm not eating today. There was a pause. Even though I couldn't see his face, I could feel his displeasure through the screen. Is it because breakfast wasn't to your taste? You're sulking again, aren't you? Panicking, I explained. No, really, I lost my memory. He replied, his tone sharp and sarcastic through the text. Another one of Miss Tam's creative tortures for me. I froze. Was I really that awful to him before, afraid he wouldn't believe me? I even sent a picture along with the message. I'm serious. I'm not lying. I'm still lying in a hospital bed right now. A long silence followed. He was probably too angry to reply, or maybe just couldn't be bothered anymore. I scrolled up to review the past conversation with him, the guy nicknamed Ice Monster. Normally, he took care of everything food deliveries, milk tea runs. Sometimes he even helped tutor me or sneak me test answers. Yet my attitude toward him had always been terrible, all orders and commands. Out of nowhere, guilt crept into my chest. How could you treat a classmate like that, Tam Fu? Suddenly, the hospital room door burst open. A guy rushed in. He wore a simple white shirt, had a bright face, balanced features, a beautifully shaped jawline. Even the hand holding the lunchbox was pale and slender. I stared at him, stunned. Some things don't change even after memory loss. For example, the love for handsome men, for example, ideal type. I looked up cautiously, asked, "Who are you?" He paused slightly, pressed his lips together, lowered his gaze and asked, "You don't remember who I am?" I frowned. Trying to think, "Are you Ice Monster?" His expression turned complicated. "My name is Chu Tung." Chu Tung reached out, trying to check the wound on my forehead. Fell down the stairs. Was it serious? Seeing me still dazed, he awkwardly withdrew his hand, voice turning indifferent. It's not that I'm worried about you. Just don't want you to blame me later if your head injury gets worse. Just a few lines were enough to paint a picture of what a selfish and unreasonable person I must have been. I felt even more ashamed. Seeing me stay silent, Chu Tong asked softly, "You really don't remember who I am," I answered honestly. "I really don't. But judging from our messages, you're probably the guy who runs errands for me, Chu Tong." "Not exactly," I looked up at him puzzled. He took a deep breath and slowly said, "We're childhood friends." Seeing I still didn't respond, Chu Tong added coolly, "And we were engaged as kids." I widened my eyes. But looking at our chats, it didn't seem like that at all. I thought you were just a classmate." Chu Tong laughed out of sheer frustration. "If we weren't engaged, who'd waste time running errands for you every day? Who'd buy food and hold your seat?" I blinked and refuted, "But you literally said feeding me was your duty." Chu Tong narrowed his eyes at me. "Well, yeah, isn't that the responsibility of a fiancé?" Right then, Uncle Lu, the driver, walked into the hospital room. Seeing Chu Tong, he was a bit startled. "Chu Tong, what are you doing here?" Chu Tong stood up politely and greeted, "I came to visit her." Uncle Lu was just about to find a seat when Chu Tong's next sentence made him freeze. "Oh, right, Uncle Lu. Fufu doesn't believe we grew up together. Can you tell her we're engaged, right?" Uncle Lu's eyes widened. "Huh." He looked at Chu Tong's calm face, then turned to me with visible confusion. After a few seconds of hesitation, his expression complicated. He nodded slowly. "Yes, that's right. The first person I saw after waking up was Uncle Lu. He even ran around helping me with paperwork, contacting my parents." Unconsciously, I'd started to trust him. Looking at Chu Tong's face, he didn't seem to be joking. I began to feel a quiet joy bloom inside. He's exactly my type, and he's my childhood fiancé too. Feels like I hit the jackpot. Turns out if you liked someone once, you'd still feel that spark even after memory loss from the very first glance. When Uncle Lu stepped out to take a call, Chu Tong placed the lunchbox on the table and handed me chopsticks and a spoon. "Eat first." I peeked inside and chuckled. What a coincidence, all my favorite dishes. Chu Tong lowered his head and ladled out soup for me. Voice calm, not a coincidence. "You told me this morning to prepare that menu. I felt a twinge of guilt, so am I bothering you too much?" Chu Tong casually wiped his hands with a tissue, his tone indifferent. "Not exactly a bother. Including today, I've gotten used to it." A small wave of sympathy rose in my heart. I gently tugged on his sleeve. "Then, eat with me." Chu Tong stiffened slightly. He scratched his nose, cleared his throat twice. I only bought one portion. I was stunned. "Don't we usually eat together?" Chu Tong turned his face away, pretending to admire the scenery outside the window. "We do eat together, but I already ate today." I didn't suspect anything and continued eating peacefully. While he drank water, I chatted away between bites. "Chu Tong, honestly, the first moment I saw you, I felt like I remembered something." He choked on his water, coughed a few times, nearly losing his composure. Remembered Chu Tong's voice turned a bit odd, completely lacking the calm he had earlier. I nodded. "Yeah, just looking at you made me feel we're a perfect match. Of course we were engaged since childhood." "You really are my destined husband," I laughed happily. Even though I lost my memory, my taste in husbands didn't change. In my imagination, my hubby looks exactly like you. A blush crept across his delicate face. Even his ears flushed like they were about to bleed. He shot up from his chair in a fluster, almost knocking over the table. Chu Tong tried to regain his composure, but the bright red on his cheeks completely betrayed him. He waved his phone a little awkwardly. There was just a message in the group chat. "I need to head back quickly. I have to submit something to the professor this afternoon." I understood and said right away. "Then go ahead. I feel much better already. Just resting this afternoon should be fine." Chu Tong nodded, his voice softer. "I'll come visit again later." He almost dashed out of the hospital room like he was fleeing. I couldn't help but sigh. Graduate school really is brutal. One text from the professor and he bolts like he's been summoned. At that moment, Uncle Lou walked back in. Seeing only me, he asked in surprise. Tutung left already. I nodded, eyes smiling. Yes, he said he'd come back to visit me later. Uncle Lou let out a relieved breath, then turned to discuss something with me. The doctor recommends that a family member should come to the hospital. Your parents are currently overseas and can't return right away. Should I contact your older brother? Older brother? I have an older brother. I blinked in confusion. Seeing my puzzled face, Uncle Lou didn't look surprised, as if he'd already expected this reaction. He picked up my phone, tapped a few times, then handed it back to me. Here's your brother. I looked down. The avatar was a beagle dog wearing sunglasses. The contact name read Wish Granting Machine Certified Gold Blower. The chat history was hardly a conversation, just a bunch of bank transfer records from him, along with a few messages like, "Who upset you?" "Send me their info, I'll handle it." His response speed was so fast it felt like I had signed up for some kind of VIP protection service. Tufu, you might not remember that Tam Trak is your older brother, but you're not blood-related. He's adopted by your parents. He's 3 years older than you and usually treats you very well. Uncle Lou explained gently, trying to soothe me. I started to piece things together and sent a message to the so-called Wish Granting Machine Certified Gold Blower brother. The reply came almost instantly. 50 question marks appeared in a row. Though I had no idea what he was so surprised about, I obediently typed again. Are you free right now, Wish Granting Machine, Certified Gold Blower? Of course, what's wrong? Did someone bully you? Send me their info, I'll take care of it. Need pocket money? I'll transfer right now. Also, what did you just call me? Say it again. Wow. What a strange older brother with equally strange demands. But I still indulged him. Hey, can you come to the hospital for a bit? Another row of question marks popped up on the other side. Then a voice call came in immediately. I've never liked answering phone calls. Even after losing my memory, I was still the same, so without hesitation, I hit decline. Wish Granting Machine Certified Gold Blower. Why aren't you picking up? What's going on? You're a scammer, aren't you? May your whole scammer family drop dead. Give the account back to her or I'll kill you. I texted back. Don't want to answer. Talk. Wish Granting Machine Certified Gold Blower. Oh, so you're real. You lost your memory. Another row of question marks was sent. Too fitting for that clueless-looking beagle avatar of his. Wish Granting Machine Certified Gold Blower. So, do you still remember who I am? I started to feel annoyed. Of course. Aren't you my brother, Wish Granting Machine, Certified Gold Blower? Yes, 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 the dearest brother I love most. Can you please stop adding those weird adjectives to your own name? I pretended not to see that last message and just kept texting. If you're free, could you stop by the hospital for a bit? The doctor needs to speak to a family member. Wish Granting Machine Certified Gold Blower. Send me the address. After I sent the location, I added another reassuring message so he wouldn't worry. Don't worry, it's not that serious. Wish Granting Machine Certified Gold Blower. Got it, I'm coming right away, I continued to reassure. No need to rush, Uncle Lou is here with me, and just now my fiancé came to visit too. The other end suddenly went quiet. Very quickly, a shocked string of question marks followed. Wish Granting Machine, Certified Gold Blower, Fiancé, what the hell? Who the hell is that? Not long after, Tam Trak rushed in. Still in a dress shirt and suit, looking sharp, but his neat short hair and that earring on his left ear made him look totally mismatched with such a formal outfit. Foo. He sat down beside my hospital bed, face full of emotion and hopeful anticipation. So after losing your memory, the only person you remembered was me. Actually, I don't remember you either. I held up my phone in front of Tam Trak, helpfully pointing at the screen. Uncle Lou told me the person with this avatar is my brother. He glanced at the screen and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. Why is my contact name saved as Wish Granting Machine Certified Gold Blower? Honestly, everyone I've seen today should be the one in the hospital instead of me. And if you actually knew me, would it still count as memory loss? That makes sense. Even if he didn't look all that trustworthy for now, he was the only family I had around. I tugged gently on his sleeve and softly asked, "Hey, can I be discharged? I want to go home and rest." Tamtrak's heart melted instantly. "No problem at all. I'll go handle the paperwork right now." He quickly walked to the door, then suddenly turned back and cleared his throat. "Oh, right, Fufu. There's one more thing I forgot to say." I looked up, puzzled. Tamtrak took a deep breath and said seriously in a low voice, "At home, you always call me brother." Half an hour later, I was sitting in the car next to Tamtrak on the way home. He wouldn't stop asking, "Want something to drink? Want some snacks?" I shook my head, smiling. "No need, really." "Tamtrak." "Okay then, want to listen to music or play a game?" I shook my head again. "Thank you, but no need to trouble yourself." Tamtrak pondered for a long time over how I should address him, and only after much deliberation did he finally nod in satisfaction and turn away. I opened the old chat logs and began to doubt. Hey, why do I feel like our relationship in the past wasn't very good? Tamtrak flared up like a dog whose tail had just been stepped on. Who said that? Who dared to say that I handed him the phone? I mean, I saw it myself. The way I used to talk to you was really harsh. Tamtrak looked like he was about to shed tears of joy. Where was it bad? I thought that was amazing. Are you okay or something? In the chat, I bossed Tamtrak around like he was a servant. If he ever did anything I didn't like, I would scold him mercilessly. But he never fought back, never offered an excuse. He just quietly accepted it all, and in the end would still message, "Don't be mad, it's my fault. I've transferred the money, go buy a new bag and cheer up. Why was I such a terrible person?" Tamtrak began listing my virtues. "Look, every time someone bullied you, you asked me to deal with them. Wasn't that because you cared about my health? You didn't want me getting a belly, so you gave me opportunities to work out. And every week you'd make me send you money. Why? Because you knew I'd waste it otherwise, so you cut me off at the source to stop me from being wasteful. Plus, you never spent on nonsense. You bought gold luxury handbags, and what's that? Those are value-holding assets. You were helping me build my investment portfolio. Sure, your tone was a bit sharp, but that's okay. We're family, right? People say the ones who love you most are the ones whose words hurt the most. You loved me the most, so I totally understand." The car drove into a villa complex. As I stepped out, Tamtrak carefully held up an umbrella to shield me from the sun. Suddenly, he asked, "Oh, right, earlier you said your fiancé came to visit you too. Who was that?" I smiled brightly. He said his name is Chu Tung. Do you know him? Tamtrak immediately went quiet. A moment later, he ground his teeth and hissed, "Damn it, we've been robbed. If that guy tries to sweet-talk you into anything, don't fall for it. Okay, that guy with the innocent face and rotten heart best at deceiving people." Just as he finished speaking, a cool voice drifted over from ahead. "Are you introducing yourself right now?" I turned toward the staircase where a girl was standing. Her arms were crossed, lips curled in a half-smile, half-smirk, eyes staring straight at us. I looked at Tamtrak, confused. "Didn't they say I only had one older brother?" "Don't tell me. I have a sister too." Tamtrak hesitated. "That's so, do?" Then he glanced at me, gauging my reaction. "She's Aunt Wong's daughter, works at our house. Her family's renovating right now, so our parents said she could stay over for a few days." When we were in the car, Uncle Lou had also mentioned, "Our house has a helper who's looked after me for over 20 years. That must be the Aunt Wong he was referring to." Seeing me unfazed, Tamtrak leaned in and whispered, "Just ignore her. Let's go up and rest for now. Don't forget to take your medicine later." So, Du raised an eyebrow at that, but still gracefully stepped aside to let me pass. As I climbed the stairs, I noticed she was still standing by the front door. She caught my gaze, looked up and met my eyes, calm, distant. So Do was stunning, the kind of beauty that makes people turn and stare in the street. Almond-shaped eyes tilted slightly upwards with an air of cool indifference. I tilted my head, smiled, and waved at her. She paused briefly, startled. The next morning, I got several back-to-back video calls from my parents. My mother was crying and sniffling through the screen. I had to coax and comfort her, promising that a doctor would come to the house regularly. Only then did they seem slightly reassured. As soon as I hung up, the noise downstairs flared up. Dragging my slippers to the door, I peeked over the banister and saw both Tam Trak and Chutung standing there, neither looking particularly pleased. Meanwhile, Do was calmly sitting on the sofa watching TV, like it had nothing to do with her. Tam Trak's jaw clenched, eyes blazing. You dare take advantage of her memory loss to claim you're her fiancé? Don't you have any shame? Chutung didn't even flinch, pouring himself a glass of water. Did I say anything wrong? We were engaged before. Tam Trak nearly punched him in the face. You call that an engagement? Neither of you even showed up to the ceremony. You two hated each other's guts. Every time you met, you argued. You even said you couldn't stand how she always bossed you around using the fiancé title. Why don't you bring that up, huh? The good-natured correction came from him, adjusting the falsehood in the other's words. That's not quite true. We actually got along pretty well before high school. You're remembering it wrong. That's the point you're taking from this. He was so furious he felt faint. I've never seen anyone as shameless as you. Beside them, she had been standing and watching the drama unfold. Finally, too lazy to hold back, she spoke up. Shameless? I don't think you're any better. She yawned, her voice drowsy, always making people call you older brother. But no one in this house even calls you by name. Isn't your nickname basically Hey around here? And saying your little sister used to cling to you the most honestly. If anyone was stuck like glue back then, it was definitely you. Only now did he snap out of it, laughing from sheer frustration. He had been so caught up tearing into the other guy, he almost forgot her entirely. This is my house, you know. Is that any way to talk? She raised her head coolly. I know. If your parents hadn't told me to stay here, you think I'd want to come downstairs? The three of them were in a full-blown standoff. The tension like a drawn bowstring, they're shouting loud enough to blot out the entire world. I hesitantly spoke up. What are you all talking about? All three of them immediately snapped their heads up to look towards the second floor where I stood. He was the quickest to respond instantly, forcing a smile. Foo-foo, we were just having a chat. That kind of chat seemed awfully aggressive. I tilted my head, my gaze sliding past him and landing on the person behind him. Why are you here too? Without hesitation, he brushed past the other and stepped toward me, voice noticeably gentler. I came to take you back to school. The other grabbed his collar and pulled him back. Who said you could think I'm dead or something? Both of them stared at me. My eyes inadvertently landed on her, who was calmly sipping tea, completely uninterested in the chaos around her. I asked, do you go to S University too? Apparently not expecting the question to shift to her, she choked on her tea and coughed. Trying to stay composed, she dabbed her lips with a tissue and looked up at me, her expression complicated, yeah. Why, I smiled, eyes lighting up. Then I'll go back to school with you. On the way, she barely said a word to me. Uncle Lou driving tried to break the ice continuously, telling me stories about her background. That's when I found out she used to visit my house often as a child. Though she was the maid's daughter, my parents adored her. She had always been quiet and reserved, the complete opposite of me. Uncle Lou kept talking, gradually, slipping into cautionary tones. Tufu, you and Tudu grew up together. If there's any misunderstanding in the future, just talk it out. You're still friends. I furrowed my brow slightly. Did we have a falling out before? A light cough came from the back seat. She quickly changed the subject, lowering her head, her voice turning cold. Your brother said you lost your memory. You're not just putting on a show again, are you? I hadn't even replied yet when Uncle Lou jumped in to smooth things over. Of course not. I'm the one who helped her check into the hospital. She fell silent, seemingly at a loss for words. I saw her resting her elbow on the window, staring out, deep in thought. Unable to hold back, I asked softly, what kind of person was I before she didn't turn around, but still answered. Why don't you ask the other two? I rested my chin in my hand, sighing. Because every word they say is half truth, half lie. They praise me like I'm some kind of saint. How can I believe that? So you believe me? She turned back to look at me, eyes indifferent, then began listing my faults. You were selfish, arrogant, overbearing, reckless, and sharp-tongued. The moment things didn't go your way, you'd blow up like someone possessed. I froze. She kept her tone calm. I say you were like that. Do you believe me? I thought for a moment, then nodded. This time it was her turn to be stunned. I think you're right. I really was a terrible person. I spoke with both guilt and sincerity. I reviewed the old messages. I wasn't nearly as good as those two made me out to be. She frowned slightly, lips parted like she was about to say something, then stayed silent. So, did I used to bully him a lot? I asked nervously. You were often at my house, so I figured you'd know. I tugged at her hand. She seemed unused to physical contact, but didn't pull away. She paused for a few seconds, rested her chin in her hand, and lazily said, Yeah, he was basically your number one good boy puppy. Whatever you wanted, he'd give it. Even if you asked for stars in the sky, he'd find a way to get them. He was used to giving in to you from a young age, but if he didn't meet your standards, you'd hit him, scold him. I swallowed instinctively, nose stinging, voice trembling. Did I really hit him? My palm suddenly hurt. Thinking about his gentle smile from this morning, I just wanted to punch myself. She glanced at me, her expression complicated. What are you thinking? Of course it wasn't that kind of violent beating. I froze. Huh? Then what kind? She waved her hand, sounding a little awkward. Well, not really something I can describe. Just think of it as a reward for him. Anyway, he seemed to enjoy it. The car stopped in front of the school gates. She walked straight toward the lecture halls, then halfway there turned back to ask me, There's class at 10. You coming? I rubbed my forehead, still feeling a bit dazed, and cautiously asked, Is it okay if I don't? She let out a soft, mocking laugh. As expected, some things are so deeply ingrained, even amnesia can't erase them, like your hatred for studying. I wanted to retort, but didn't know what to say. She really had a knack for understanding people's core traits. I'll mark you present. If you're not feeling well, just go back to the dorm and rest. She waved me off like she was shooing something away. Go on. I hurriedly said thank you. Never expected her to be so kind, not nearly as haughty as she looked. And I really didn't understand why we had bad blood in the past. As I turned to leave, still lost in thought, I heard a very soft sigh behind me. Actually, you weren't nearly as awful as you think you were. I lay on the dorm bed for a while, but every time I closed my eyes, messy, tangled memories would surface. Everything felt like a web of string, like someone was pulling the threads behind the scenes, and I had no control over myself. I couldn't sleep at all. The dorm was empty at that hour. I didn't know what to do, so I wandered around campus. I had no idea how long I'd been walking. When I finally looked up, I was standing in front of the library. I had just replied to a few of his usual check-in texts. After thinking for a bit, I added another message. Thanks, big bro, for taking care of me all those years. My phone stayed quiet for exactly 2 seconds, then buzzed non-stop with messages like firecrackers going off. Before I could read them, someone called out, Tofu. He stood in front of me. He had changed into a short-sleeved t-shirt, neat, clean cut. Heading to the library, his voice was gentle, clear. I hesitated for a second, then nodded, yeah. I thought, maybe since I fell there, going back to the same spot might help me remember something. He understood right away, nodding slightly. Then let me go with you. At this hour, the library was nearly empty, everyone quietly absorbed in their books. I reached out and lightly brushed the stair railing. In my mind, a young girl's face flickered into view. Chu Tung this morning Uncle Lu said there used to be conflict between me and Sodu. Is it true Chu Tung had been my friend since childhood, so of course he also knew Sodu? Tamtrak always listened to me and took care of me. If there really had been any problems with Sodu, he would have definitely tried to downplay it. Compared to Tamtrak, Chu Tung seemed like he'd give a more honest answer. He furrowed his brows slightly. You remembered something? I shook my head. No, it's just, I feel uneasy somehow. Chu Tung walked with me to the second-floor balcony of the library before slowly speaking. He recounted everything like an outsider, keeping his tone as neutral as possible. When we were little, we played together, but by the time we reunited in high school, it was like oil and water. You didn't like how your parents always praised Sodu. On top of that, hearing others say she was pretty made you uncomfortable. You used to mock her for being the maid's daughter, used it to make things hard for her. But Sodu never retaliated. She treated you like a child who hadn't grown up, which only made you angrier. I wanted to bury myself in shame. So, what kind of person is Sodu? Chu Tung thought for a moment, then looked down to flip a page. I didn't interact with her much. Back then, she only played with you. Later, she went back to her hometown for school, and I never saw her again. I remember there were times you mentioned her, saying you were really curious about what kind of person she was. You looked happy then. I don't know why it later turned into a rivalry. Chu Tung never liked bad-mouthing others, so I didn't press further. He sat with me in the library. The atmosphere around us was calm, and outside the window, green treetops looked like patches of mist-coloured leaves full of life. I watched Chu Tung quietly reading, unable to hold back a small question. I used to be that awful, but you never hated me. After a few days of interacting with him, I felt that beneath his aloof exterior, Chu Tung was actually warm, not distant at all. He paused while flipping a page. After a moment of silence, he answered, "Not quite hate, more like surprised." I blushed slightly. I probably used to bully you a lot too, right? Chu Tung laughed, his voice soft. If making me buy you meals, save your seat copy notes, and then using that as an excuse to shove gifts at me counts as bullying, then yeah, maybe a little. I looked down and mumbled, what if I never remember anything again? The moment I finished speaking, someone gently patted my head. The warmth of Chu Tung's palm settled softly. Honestly, it won't change much. Maybe someday when you look back, you'll realize this version of yourself is a lot more free. Chu Tung walked me all the way to the dorm entrance. By then, my phone had been flooded with messages from Tamtrak. Fu, why are you suddenly saying things like that? Big Bro's so moved he could cry. Oh, right, make sure to stay away from Chu Tung, okay? You've never liked him before. Don't let any sparks fly. Last time you even grumbled that you'd never like him again, and you said something like, he's going to fall for the female lead anyway. Don't hang out with him anymore. I'm flying to F country for work tomorrow. Want me to bring you back anything? The moment the words female lead flashed across my screen, my head spun. A numbness spread from the back of my neck, and my heart started pounding like a war drum. At that moment, a cold, mechanical, painfully familiar voice echoed in my mind. Host, long time no see. Memories flooded in like a tidal wave. The identity of the cruel supporting character, the constraints forced upon me, the missions that pitted me against. Sodu and the times I lost control and hurt Chu Tung. Each incident, every detail clicked together like perfect puzzle pieces, forming a clear image in my mind. That day, the day I reunited with Sodu at the high school campus, a voice had sounded in my head. It said, this is a world inside a novel. Sodu is the female lead. Chu Tung is the male lead. And me. I'm just the selfish, domineering, willful supporting character. Sodu would transform from a maid's daughter into a dazzling white swan. She would slowly take over the proud gaze of my parents, the attention of my foster brother, and ultimately steal away my childhood fiancé. From jealousy, the seed of resentment took root in my heart. I was the heiress of the Tem family. My destiny was to fight her to the very end. At first I had resisted. I had questioned the system why I had to live like this. The system merely replied coldly, "Host, this is your mission in the novel world. There is only one female lead in the story. If you don't fight, you will always be trampled on. I believe once the female lead becomes aware of her true identity, she will also use every means to destroy you. Because you are not the female lead yet, you're enjoying her privileges, she will never accept that." And so I was controlled by the system, forced down the path of the evil supporting character. The system assigned me missions to make So-Do's life difficult. I had no choice but to laugh mockingly in public, belittle her cheap clothes, and say she didn't match her looks. But after each mission, I would feel guilty. I secretly gave the new dress I just bought to Auntie Wong So-Do's mother, casually saying I didn't like it anymore and asked her to deal with it. A week later, I saw that very dress on So-Do. I stood in the shade watching her under the dazzling sunlight, like a princess glowing from within. So-Do really did look best in white. That's what I thought, feeling strangely proud. But tears had rolled silently down my cheeks before I even noticed. The system said, "Soon So-Do will steal your fiancé. That's why you have to move faster than her. You must get engaged to Chu Tong first." Once again, like a puppet on strings, I made arrangements, forced my parents to organize an engagement party. The system even deliberately chose the day when Chu Tong's grandfather was seriously ill, saying only that day would test whether his feelings for me were genuine. And so Chu Tong never showed up. And I didn't dare appear either afraid of seeing the disappointment and disdain in his eyes. I tried everything to make things right. But compared to what I'd done, it was laughable. I didn't want to live like this anymore, didn't want to keep becoming the person everyone hated. I asked to terminate the mission, but in return, all I got was the system's icy reply, "You are the supporting character. You cannot end the mission on your own." And so I lived in constant fear every day, until the day I slipped on the library steps. As my body crashed heavily onto the floor, one thought filled my mind. Finally, I can rest. The mission cannot be aborted. Host, you have delayed too long due to memory loss. Reactivation required. Reactivation required. Time limit is... The system's voice kept echoing in my head, steady and relentless, like torture. I collapsed to my knees, unable to stop myself from screaming, "I don't want to do this anymore." And just then I fell into a warm embrace. A faint scent of sweet oranges tickled my nose. The world suddenly fell into a strange silence. The system's voice, it shut off, completely as if someone had pulled the plug. So-Do held me tightly, gently, patting my back in comfort. It's okay. We won't do the mission anymore." She bit her lip, her voice softening. "I didn't know. I'm sorry, this is all my fault." She held me in her arms, her shirt soaked through with my tears. "So-Do..." I froze, then quickly pushed her away. The system once said that if I deviated from the script, I would be punished. "It's okay." She grabbed my wrist, fumbling to press her hand over mine, word by word, slow and steady. "The game is over." I sat in So-Do's dorm room. There were only the two of us. She poured me a glass of water. "So, you were also bound to the system," I held. The cup frowned and asked, "You knew you were the female lead in this book?" So-Do nodded lightly, eyes lowered, voice soft as a breeze. "But I had no idea that the price of becoming the female lead was you being forced into the role of the vicious supporting character. The system only told me I had been chosen as the protagonist, that I'd get a chance to rise from ordinary to extraordinary. It tricked me, said everyone around was fake and malicious. That the only person I could trust was myself. The only one I could rely on was also myself." The room fell silent, the stillness so complete we could hear the faint wind outside the window. So-Do continued. "So even if you used to target me, make things hard for me, I could endure it. I thought you were a rich girl who'd been spoiled since childhood, and that jealousy from hearing some unkind rumors was understandable. No matter how excessive you were in my eyes, you were just a little girl afraid of losing her parents' love. I never imagined you were being forced into it. She added gently, "Oh, and don't worry, I don't have any feelings for Chu-Tung." I lowered my head, hiding my reddened eyes behind a sip of water. "I was never jealous of you," I murmured. "You were already better than me. You're calm, intelligent, thoughtful, and sincere. Aunt Vuong raised you well. When Mum and Dad praised you, I was genuinely happy. You were my childhood playmate even if we didn't see each other for years. I couldn't possibly misjudge your character." So, Du said nothing, only her eyelashes trembled ever so slightly. Suddenly, I remembered something and asked quickly, "Wait, earlier you said the game is over.
What right?
What did you mean by that?" "Exactly what it sounds like, so," Du replied casually. "I've ended the mission. A supporting character can't quit, but I can." I froze. "But if you did that, then everything you did before, wouldn't it all be for nothing?" So, Du smiled. "What like without the system, my life would be ruined. This world always tries to pit women against each other, but I refuse to play along." From that day on, So Du's luck seemed to nosedive. Every exam she took always just shy of winning. Part-time jobs, wages withheld. In the end, it took Tamtrak stepping in to beat her sleazy boss until his face swelled like a pig's head. The day So Du finished her internship, I stayed home and cooked dinner for everyone. He was too lazy to deliver food himself, only Chu-Tung stayed behind to help me prep the meal. "Almost done. Don't come in and mess things up," I warned. So Du and Tamtrak sat on the sofa watching the figure bustling in the kitchen. Tamtrak scratched his ear face casual, "No idea how she ended up like this. But I guess it's not bad. That sweet innocent Tamfu from back then, they never believed she could turn out evil. Best explanation I've got. Maybe she got possessed by something. So Du raised an eyebrow. "So you like her but won't confess what's that about Tamtrak?" He was caught off guard. "I like money, but you don't see me robbing banks. Doesn't mean I don't want to." So, Du let out a quiet laugh. Tamtrak sighed. "What about you? Why do you keep hanging around my house?" So, Du lowered her head and took a sip of water. "It's not because of you, if that's what you're thinking." Tamtrak yawned. "I know my place," he sighed again. "But still, if you're not dating, don't your parents nag you?" So, Du stood up. "Not every kind of love has to end in romance. You understand that even better than I do. Besides, you're not dating either." This time, Tamtrak laughed. "Of course not. After all, feelings that have lasted 10, 20 years can't just be replaced by someone you met a week ago." Their eyes met, no words needed, yet they shared the same unspoken emotion, a quiet understanding for each other and for themselves. "Time to eat," I beamed from ear to ear, carrying the tray of food out from the kitchen. "So, Du Chu-Tung, Big Brother, Aunt Vuong, Uncle Lu, I made every dish each of you likes." So Du and Tamtrak exchanged a glance, then both let out a helpless laugh. "Well then, what else can we do? Let's just pray Chu-Tung lives long enough not to miss his chance." A dinner table full of warmth and peace like this, isn't it also a kind of complete happiness? I used to think losing my memory was a misfortune, but it turns out it was a gift. It gave me a chance to see myself not through memories, but through the eyes of those around me. Through cold texts, patient gestures, loving scoldings. I slowly came to understand my past may not have been beautiful, but the present and the future are mine to shape. I no longer want to wage war against the world. Because in truth, the world had always quietly opened its arms to me, I just never opened my heart to receive it. There are people I hurt, but they still chose to stay. There are people I used, yet they still willingly help me with the smallest things. There's someone called a fiancé, I never cherished him, yet he waited for me patiently, bit by bit. And there's someone like my brother who, even when bossed around like a dog, still texted me, "Don't be mad. I sent the money. Go buy that bag and cheer up. I realized being loved by others is a privilege, but knowing how to love them back, that's how you truly grow. I've dropped the role now, no longer the vicious supporting character, no longer forcing myself to play the villain just to be noticed. I just want to live as myself, a Tamfu who knows how to admit she's wrong, who knows how to cherish, and who knows how to smile at the simplest joys in life. Thank you for watching Ken's Stories. I hope you enjoyed a relaxing and captivating storytelling experience. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support gives me the motivation to create more amazing content.